En el tema que ahora vamos a tratar, sobre la visita al Museo WYATT, donde veréis cosas que hemos ido mostrando en anteriores conferencias, veréis que realmente hay cosas que son muy interesantes, que llaman mucho la atención, porque algunas de las que habíamos mostrado las vamos a ver y veremos cómo nuestro colaborador las tuvo en sus propias manos. Eso vale la pena. Pero antes os he dicho de que hablaríamos sobre unos escritos de Ellen White que aparecen en este libro, La historia de la redención. Es un capítulo, que es el 24, os aconsejo que si alguien tiene este libro lo lea en sus casas, especialmente este capítulo, porque va relacionado con el arca. Nosotros, por falta de tiempo hoy, no lo vamos a tratar, pero una vez más nos confirmaba cómo Ron Wyatt no estaba mintiendo. Pero esto lo dejaremos para la próxima conferencia. Ahora, sencillamente, quiero dirigiros unas palabras que aparecen en nuestras Biblias, que están en el libro de Lucas, capítulo 19, y versículos 39 y 40. Entonces, algunos de los fariseos de entre la multitud le dijeron: Maestro, reprende a tus discípulos. Él respondiendo les dijo: Os digo que si estos callaran, las piedras clamarían. Esto es muy interesante. Las piedras clamarían. Esto realmente está sucediendo. La propia arqueología habla de las cosas de Dios. El mundo actual pide pruebas, el hombre pide pruebas, y es evidente que nuestra fe necesita un sustento de algo en concreto. Estas pruebas están, y algunas de ellas son las que claman cuando nosotros callamos y no damos el suficiente testimonio que deberíamos decir de estas cosas. Por tanto, lo que hoy vais a ver es precisamente una comprobación de que las palabras de Jesús, que tenían una referencia concreta para su momento, también tienen una extrapolarización para lo que la arqueología sigue haciendo con la verdad bíblica. Vamos ya entonces, definitivamente, a entrar a este vídeo que es realmente interesante.
Bueno, estamos aquí hoy en el Museo de Ron Wyatt en Nashville, bueno, no, en Cornersville, y hemos tenido el privilegio de poder hablar con Richard Rives, que es el director del museo. Vamos a proceder a hacer unas preguntas. Primero le voy a pedir que se presente y nos explique un poco pues el motivo del museo y cuál es su trabajo aquí. Hello Richard, thank you for your time. At first, if it could be possible, you to explain us which is your work here, or which is the what you do here in the museum. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Richard Reeves. I'm president of WYATT Archaeological Research, and I worked with Ron Wyatt during the last 10 years of his life. And the things that we talk about are Noah's Ark, Sodom and Gomorrah, the Red Sea crossing, Mount Sinai, and then we talk about Ron's work in Jerusalem on an Ark of the Covenant project. We have a museum here in Cornersville, Tennessee, and basically we present some of the artifacts that Ron found. We have pictures and posters and just talk to people and tell them what we know. We're continuing on with the research. In 2003 we completely re-excavated Ron's site in the area of King Solomon's quarries, and then in 2005 and 2006 we were working in the Garden Tomb area. And Ron had described a crucifixion site there. And basically we found where Ron had been there. We found first century buildings and artifacts dating all the way back to the time of King Solomon. We were not able to confirm all of Ron's findings at that time, so we've been working ever since to continue the research. Just got back from Jerusalem about 3 months ago, and we're working in King Solomon's quarries under the old city of Jerusalem. There are a lot of people that believe that temple treasures were taken out underground, and we're in a cave system down there. We found defensive walls with gates, and so we're still working on the project, and hopefully we'll have more information soon.
Okay. Nos ha explicado que trabajó los últimos 10 años de investigación con Ron. Nos ha explicado también que en este museo pues, se nos presentan pósteres, nos presentan vídeos sobre sus descubrimientos, y que creo que me ha explicado que en el año 2003 estuvo allí, han hecho nuevas investigaciones, y bueno, y más cosas que luego en la traducción podremos escuchar con más tranquilidad. ¿Cuál fue su relación con Ron Wyatt durante esos 10 años? Which were your relation with Ron Wyatt in that 10 years, last years of your investigation, and how did you know Ron? How it started? Okay.
I worked with Ron Wyatt during the last 10 years of his life, most everywhere he went. Started working with Ron in 1989 and 90, and we went over to a site in eastern Turkey that many people believe to be the remains of Noah's Ark. And at that time we did what's known as the mini excavation. We cleaned one side so you can see what appears to be rib timbers, and we did a little more work at that time. We came back home, and then later we got in trouble over there. We were taken hostage, and since then I haven't been able to do the investigations we need to do. We now do three-dimensional subsurface radar. I was over in Turkey a few years ago. We thought we had the permits, and then the government changed. But basically what we found over there is a boat-shaped object, the exact dimensions as specified in the Bible for Noah's Ark. There's symmetry there. There's parts and pieces you can measure between. It appears to have been put together with metal fittings. They have modern-day alloys in it. And so
you were there then. You were there when they found the ark. No, okay. You were there measuring or in the moment.
I was not there when Ron first found it. But in 1989, I started working with Ron, and that's when we did the mini excavation and that work. So you know, we need to do more work, but we hadn't been able to get the permits. But it seems like that it is not a natural object; it's something man-made, petrified wood all over it with metal fittings that you know, we would call space-age metal. So it's.
Okay. Nos explica que no estuvieron en el primer descubrimiento de Ron, pero sí que luego volvieron y estuvieron haciendo algunas excavaciones. Le pregunto también, ¿ustedes recogieron muestras de estas excavaciones? ¿Ustedes tienen muestras de esa madera petrificada? Did you catch some samples of this wood? Here you have samples of this wood.
We did. We have some samples. There's some of them in this case down here. And before you leave, I'll get a piece and you can do a little close-up on it, and I can actually let you hold a piece of it.
Okay. Nos dice que aquí tiene algunas muestras y que luego nos va a enseñar unas muestras más cerca para que podamos disfrutar de ella.
I'll let you get a close-up on our actual piece.
Okay. Otra pregunta que nos gustaría hacerle a Richard es sobre un vídeo que vimos en internet, un vídeo en el que nos explicaba que habían encontrado muestras de sangre de Jesucristo, que las llevaron a analizar, y esta es, por aquí irá nuestra pregunta ahora. Richard, our question now is, we saw a video in internet about the blood of Christ. We could see yourself explaining, and I think you were present when this blood were analyzed in the lab. If could you explain with details, because we are very excited with this situation, how it was, where did you do this analysis, and if you have any copy or something about the results of this analysis, yourself.
Okay, all right. Ron took 2 samples of what he believed to be blood from the site. One he took from the lower level, and he said that that was analyzed in Israel, and it proved to have a unique chromosome structure. Ron never got any reports on that. There's no written reports. Ron said there was no scientist that I could contact or no laboratory that could confirm that. So at this time, there is no evidence for what Ron said. It makes perfect sense, but we don't have any evidence, and there never has been any. There are a lot of websites out there and YouTube segments leading people to believe that there is, but it's just not true. There is no evidence of that. That is what Ron said. Now, the sample that was taken from up top that most people see on his videos, I was able to re-excavate that entire area from 2005 through 2007. We have a new DVD called Exploring the Ark of the Covenant. And Ron on the original video said that those samples needed to be tested to see if it was blood. And so once I took more of that sample, brought it back home, we did extensive testing, and it turned out that that was not blood. So the sample that you see Ron taking on the original video is not blood. It's a substance called chitin. It's found in the exoskeletal remains of invertebrates and certain types of bacteria, but we could not confirm that that was blood. What Ron said makes perfect sense, but we cannot confirm that at this time. We're still working.
Okay, if I understand well, because it's hard for me in English, there was two samples, okay, right. But there is no proof, there is not confirmed that these samples are blood.
The sample from up above, from where near where he described as a crucifixion site, is not blood.
From the crucifixion site. Okay, from the top of the mountain of the.
No, right there, what he's described as a cross hole. That sample that you see him taking on the video, it turned out that it was not blood.
But the blood he took inside the ark.
The blood that he said he took down below, he said that it had a unique chromosome structure, but he never got any reports on. There's no documentation.
Okay. We only know then about the work of Ron.
That's right.
Okay. In that video, bueno, nos explica que había dos muestras de sangre, que una muestra fue sacada de la parte donde la cruz estaba, donde fue crucificado Cristo y que no era sangre, pero que la otra muestra que se sacó de dentro del arca, no tenemos evidencias de que sea sangre, sino que bueno, solo Ron decía que esto era así. In the video we see in internet, we can see some people catching it seems a red dust, okay, put in a vessel or maybe with some water maybe, right. And you do the report.
Okay. I understand.
Where did you do this analysis?
Okay, I have a special microscope. You'll see tiny little particles less than 1/10 of a micron in size. And what we did, we rehydrated the material that Ron took from the sample up above, and we put it under from the sample up above. And when we put it under the microscope, we saw microscopic particles that some people describe as somatids. They're found in organic material.
Okay.
And because we found those particles, and it was assumed that that was blood, then we said, well, it does look like blood. But later, I completely re-excavated that area. It's found on our DVD, Exploring the Ark of the Covenant, all the lab tests. We did every type of analysis we could think of. We did blood tests, we did chemical analysis, we did DNA and everything we could do. And it turns out that that wasn't organic material, but it was not blood. All organic material had these little particles in it, so that was misleading. The indication was that that was blood. We saw the particles, so we made an assumption that was not right. We shouldn't have done that.
Okay, nos dice que eran materia orgánica. Organic material, sí, alive material,
right. Organic.
Materia orgánica viva, pero que no era sangre. Me gustaría preguntar si saben qué tipo de organismo era. You know what kind of organic material could be?
Chitin, C-H-I-T-I-N. Chitin.
Chitin. I don't know what does it mean.
Chitin.
C-H-I-T-I-N.
T-I-N. Okay, we'll look for. Chitin. Chitin. Could you describe which is chitin? Is a bacteria? Is an
It's organic material that's found in the exoskeletal remains of invertebrates.
en el esqueleto de los invertebrados. Dice que encontramos quitina, maybe.
Well,
Maybe quitina. Maybe. Okay.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay, chitin, they'll say quitina. Okay, in this video we can see.
This is our video. It's called Exploring the Ark of the Covenant.
In this video we could see.
It shows all the lab tests in detail.
Okay, I will take.
I'll give you this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, then. Vamos a preguntarle también a Richard. Your time is well. You must go or okay?
No, we're okay.
Vamos a preguntar a Richard también sobre su trabajo sobre el sol, la adoración al sol en el tiempo, en la adoración pagana del sol y cómo está influyendo en los cristianos hoy en día, porque sabemos que él está estudiando estos temas. Richard, we saw in your web that you were studying about the role of sun. And the sky and the stars. Okay. The interpretation of this in the worship of pagan cultures, and how this adoration, this worship, is influyendo.
I think I know.
Influyendo.
One second.
Oh my God, a lot of work.
Okay, about 20 years ago I found out that many of the things that I'd been taught in church were based on tradition rather than what the scriptures actually teach. And I found that everything opposed to the true worship of our Creator has been based on sun worship. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote a little book entitled Too Long in the Sun.
Okay.
I'd like to give you this one.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then, just 2 years ago, my new book is called Time is the Ally of Deceit. Over time, traditions that have nothing to do with Jesus have crept into Christianity.
Okay.
And so I've done a lot of research, archaeological research, as well as other things, to show exactly not only what has happened, but how it took place.
Okay.
And so this book, I'd like to give you this, and then I produced 5 DVDs, 1 DVD for each chapter of the book.
Okay.
So I'd like to give you this. Okay.
Thank you very much.
And then this is my newest one right here. It's called Hath God Said.
Uh-huh.
You know, in the Garden of Eden, God gave them some instructions, some commandments.
Okay.
And Satan said, "Hath God said?" He questioned the commandments of God. Satan got Adam and Eve to question God's commandments.
To question God's commandments.
That's right. Hath God said you shouldn't eat the fruit? In the scriptures it said that Satan asked Eve, "Hath God said you're not supposed to eat the fruit?"
No.
Genesis.
In Genesis, which chapter of Genesis?
Okay, Adam and Eve.
We'll translate. Okay.
All right. Anyway, this is the new one. I will give you this.
Thank you very much. I ask you these questions because we are looking for this information. We are studying how sun, worship to sun, were in the Egyptians and now is in Vatican too, and how every religions have a few of this pagan heritage.
It's all in those videos.
Okay, then
Everything in the
it will be very interesting to see it.
Okay.
Bueno, nos ha dado muchísima información, muchísimos datos y por eso le damos muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For all your for support for us. Have a lot of work now. Then I think that it is over. If you want to tell something else or something that you think it is good important for us to know, it would be a pleasure to listen to you.
Okay. We've done some excavations on the Ark of the Covenant project. And what's important about the Ark of the Covenant is the covenant, the 10 commandments that were placed inside. Those commandments are still valid and we should be keeping them.
Okay.
The New Testament tells us that sin is the transgression of the law, so we have to obey the commandments of our Creator. We're saved by faith through grace and not of works, so there's no commandment that we can keep that will save us. But even so, we can't practice sin, and those laws tell us what sin is.
Okay. Vamos a traducir exactamente todo lo que nos ha dicho. Creo entender que nos hace una mención a los 10 mandamientos para que intentemos guardarlos adecuadamente. Y nada, solo me queda agradecerles por su tiempo. Thank you very much for your time. I hope so if I come back here and turn and see you again.
Okay.
It could be very interesting. With your con su permiso, with your permission, it could be possible to see the sample you told me.
I'll
It could be
be back in
interesting.
just a minute.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. Bueno, estamos aquí delante del Museo Arqueológico de WYATT Archaeological Museum. Es un pequeño recinto encontrado en Cornersville, al sur de Nashville, y vamos a tener el placer de entrevistar a Richard Rives, que es el director del museo.
Okay.
Is recording?
I think. Let me see.
Yes. Inside? Okay. Bueno, aquí Richard nos ha dejado tocar una muestra recogida en la zona del Arca. It was catch bringing from the Ark. Okay.
Noah's Ark side.
Okay. Tiene un tacto es petrificada.
But it has organic carbon.
Es carbono orgánico. Thank you very much for this experience.
That's a piece of the top of Mount Sinai.
Oh,
Where it's
okay.
melted. The top of the mountain.
Oh.
It says that God's presence came down on top and it's melted.
Carbonized rock. Okay. Oh no. Yes.
Hmm?
Nos ha mostrado un trozo de roca del monte Sinaí. Totalmente carbonizada, como podéis observar. Let me get a piece of wood one time. Mira a ver qué quede. ¿Veis? ¿Queda? La enfoca bien, ¿no? Okay.
Here's an example of a Roman nail.
Oh, where did you found it?
That one came from Istanbul. It's a good example of a Roman nail. That's the way the Romans made them.
¿De dónde dice?
Roman nail.
Sí, es un clavo romano.
Un clavo romano. Pero where?
Istanbul.
Estambul.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Un clavo romano encontrado en Estambul. Es un buen ejemplo, dice. Muy bien, muchísimas gracias. Thank you. It's an experience to touch a story. The history of that. History.
Yeah.
History. Okay, then thank you.
We're making you a Spanish. We have this DVD. This in Spanish.
Okay, Richard. Thank you. Another time. Bueno, le voy a hacer una pregunta a Richard y es sobre la familia Wyatt. Un poco cuál es su opinión sobre su trabajo y sobre lo que explican sobre los descubrimientos. Richard, we ask you, I will do a question about the family of Ron. How do you, what is your opinion of what are they telling about of discoveries and the work of Ron?
Well, I don't know everything that they're telling, but I know there are videos on YouTube and other places that have information in it that's deceiving. It leads people to believe things that are just not true. It's a big problem for me. Over the years, I've tried to get them to stop doing that, but they are determined that they're going to have their story whether the facts check out or not. So, you know, the Bible says to prove all things and to hold fast only that which is good. And so that's what we try to do here at WYATT Archaeological Research, is to provide the facts before we make statements that could mislead somebody. I believe that we're responsible for what we teach. And it's okay to be honestly wrong about something, but it's not okay to dishonestly teach things that are not true. And so that's a big problem. I encourage people that look into Ron's discoveries is to check all the facts, because there are a lot of deceivers out there that don't tell the truth.
Okay. Dice que no dicen la verdad, pero bueno, voy a intentar preguntarle también sobre exactamente en qué partes es en lo que están mintiendo. Could you tell me which parts of the story of the Ron's family could be the worst lie? In which parts they are telling lies? Okay.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what all they're presenting right now. I really don't know. They you know, really didn't. The people in charge of that never worked with Ron Wyatt. His sons worked with him some when he first did the work in the 1980s. But and one of his sons worked with us a couple of times since then. But they really didn't work with Ron closely the last 10 years of his life. One of the things that concerns me, and I know the people that are promoting these videos, is the fact that the blood samples from the area described as a crucifixion site turned out that it was not blood. And they don't like that. They want it to be blood, and so they mislead people. Now, you said you had talked to some of the people, is that right?
Cool.
You had talked to other people?
Other people?
Right, you had visited others?
Others
here in this area?
Si visitar las artes.
Sí, visitar a la familia, a Ron's family.
Okay.
Yes, I would.
Who did you talk to?
I talked with Ronnie.
Ronnie. Okay.
Michelle.
Okay.
And then two friends, Jocelyn.
Okay. All right.
And Kevin.
Okay.
Kevin.
And what did they tell you about the blood samples?
They told me was blood.
Okay.
But
it is not blood, and they know that. We've proven that, and so that's a good example of what you have to be careful of.
You told me before there was two samples. Okay.
That's right.
One of the samples was not blood.
Right.
Proved.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
But the other sample we don't know. Is possible this?
We don't know. There were never any reports generated.
Okay.
The Bible says that only in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses is every word established. So if we go by what Scripture teaches, we have to have 2 witnesses to prove something. And Ron said there were never any reports generated on that. Those people you talked to, I told them that years ago, and they just don't like that. They want to make it be what they want it to be. And that's a real problem because they're deceiving people.
Okay. Then you think that ¿cómo lo explico yo? Él cree que están explicando, o sea, que están malmetiendo la memoria de Ron Wyatt, o que están you think they are maybe dismissing the memory of Ron? Do you think they are tergiversando, faking maybe the memory of Ron?
Well, all I can tell you is they can't miss him any more than I do. Ron was my best friend, and I really miss him. But we can't make up things that are not true just because we miss somebody. We've got to tell the truth. Now, you said you were Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah.
And I can give you a good example. Because of what these people are doing, they have totally discredited Ron with the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Yeah, they on their own church will say yes.
And you know that. You know
I
that
know.
A lot of people in the Seventh-day Adventist Church thinks that Ron is false, that the things he presents, and that's the reason why, because of these types of people telling things that are just not true.
Okay.
The Scripture says a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. And so we can't take a little bit of things we want to be right and add it with truth. You know, we have to tell the pure truth. I was in Texas at a Seventh-day Adventist university a few months ago, and I was supposed to speak. And when they found out it was about Ron Wyatt, they canceled my speaking engagement because of these types of people.
Dice que fue a Texas, a la universidad, a hablar sobre el trabajo de Ron y cuando trabajó sobre su trabajo y cuando dijeron que había sido amigo de Ron, que no lo dejaron hablar. You can follow.
Okay.
You can follow.
We just have to tell the truth. We can't make things be like we want it to be. And by doing that, and by saying things without any documentation, these people have totally discredited Ron with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. If you go to the headquarters up in Silver Spring or wherever, they'll tell you that what Ron said is absolutely not true, and that's not true. There's a lot of good evidence, but people have presented so many false things along with it that nobody accepts it anymore. And that's a real problem because Ron did a lot of hard work.
Okay. In your opinion, then, the work, la manera de hacer, the way, no? The way of Ron's family, it goes en contra.
Against.
It goes against the real work of Ron Wyatt.
So you see, if they told you that was definitely blood, they don't have any idea how to prove that. There's no reports that there was. They're telling you what Ron said and presented it as a fact.
Okay. But you think that all the work of Ron is truth, is really...
That's right.
Okay. It proves the Bible.
That's right, I do.
Okay.
That's right.
Could you tell us what is your religion or your denominación, no? Denomination?
I don't have any denomination.
Okay.
I just believe what the Bible says.
Okay.
Right.
Bueno, dice que no tiene ninguna denominación y que es un creyente y que él cree que todo lo que Ron nos presentó que es cierto, solo que ahí el tema de la sangre hay un pequeño conflicto con la familia. Muy bien. Gracias de nuevo. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much. espectacular, ¿eh?
Show them around, they'll like it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is with this telescope right here.
I think that proofs are the definitive.
Yeah, definite proof.
This,
Oh, did they get a? They didn't get that. Let's here you go.
can I touch that?
Huh?
Can I touch that?
Go get him a piece there. Okay. Go get him a little piece.
Yeah.
That's me.
What's you?
There's me.
Okay.
Okay. See, that's
Okay.
that's the new. This. There you go.
Thank you. You want?
Okay. Well, Ron Wyatt discovered a method that could be used to lift the stones to build the pyramids. And Herodotus, the historian, talks about how they used leverage to build the pyramids. And then there were two timbers found in King Tut's tomb, King Tutankhamun's tomb, and they were very oddly shaped. Nobody could figure out what they were used for. So he started to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and this drawing right here, if you wanted to write "to build" in the Egyptian language, you would draw this symbol. So basically what Ron did was he took this, flipped the symbol using these timbers and the mechanism that Herodotus described, and he built a device that will use leverage to lift the stones. So basically what we have here is the stones will be lifted up on each device until they get to the top of the pyramid. Now what he did was he built a larger version of this, and he tested it similar to this one right here. And so basically the stones would go on the platform, several people would stand on each side of the machine, and they would start to turn the wheels, and it lifts by means of leverage massive amounts of weight. Now Ron Wyatt built a much, much larger version of this, and he drove his minivan up on it, his car up on it, and 4 people lifted a car. So it works.
Okay. Nos explica que 4 personas pudieron levantar un coche con este mecanismo en una versión más grande de esta estructura que construyó Ron Wyatt para demostrar que los egipcios antiguos levantaban estas piedras de qué peso, which weight you think?
That on the stones?
Yeah.
Probably 1,000 pounds, 2,000 pounds, something like that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. She's much amazing for me and my friends there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect symmetry.
Mm-hmm.
There is some photo with your father and Ron.
In the museum, I don't know.
It would be very interesting. It was a song, no? Yeah?
That's right.
Which was?
That one, maybe Danny. No, I think that's Ronnie. I think that's Ronnie.
You know them?
Mm-hmm. I know Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
I've met Danny before, but it's been a long time.
Oh my God. Okay. This cave was?
That cave is right about here.
Here?
Just right about there. It's very tight. You have to squeeze through in a lot of places.
Uh-huh. Muy estrecha. What were you looking for in that cave?
Well, that cave right there is directly underneath here, which is where we think
Goes to the Ark. Goes to the Ark.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, you know, right within the proximity that goes to the Ark.
Uh-huh.
That's the tomb, the garden tomb.
Okay.
This is it right here. And we think that the big stone would have been rolled right down through here.
Yeah.
And then this right here is a metal pin that Ron found right there. And basically, it's iron, it's metal, but it's an iron pin set in lead. And we were able to test that in laboratories over in Israel, and they confirmed that it was an iron pin set in lead, which is exactly what the ancient Romans used to do. That's the way the Colosseum in Rome was built, and all of that. So what Ron believes is that when Jesus' body was put in the tomb and they rolled the stone in front of it, that this was a pin to keep the stone from being rolled backwards. And then when the angel rolled the stone back, that it just sheared that pin right off.
We're broken.
And it broke it. It just broke it right off. And that's what's left of it. But just in 2002, we were able to confirm, based on laboratory reports, that this is an iron pin set in lead, just like an ancient Roman pin.
And is so old Is old?
It is old.
It's
It's very old.
2000.
It would be back, at the first century, the time of Jesus Christ.
O sea que encontraron los clavos que fijaban la rueda que movía que abría la puerta de la tumba de Cristo. Sí. Y entonces ven que estaba roto porque al moverse la rueda rompió los clavos. Lo llevaron a analizar los clavos y vieron que la composición y la forma era típica de la época. Okay. The top photo, it was the entrance of the cave.
The bluish type photo, that's towards the entrance, and the very top, that is the skull face, Golgotha. That's where the Bible tells us that Jesus was crucified, and it's just a little bit to the right of. So basically, the excavations. This is Golgotha right there.
Okay.
Sign for the Garden Tomb that we found in 2005. That's the old sign that used to mark the way to the Garden Tomb. That's brass right there. It was thrown into Ron's excavations, and so we were able to find that.
Garden Tomb.
And this one right here shows the ark. This is the same model right there in the water.
Ah, ok. Este es el mismo modelo que vemos, lo pusieron a flotar en el agua para comprobar que las dimensiones y lo que explica en la palabra de Dios pues flota. Aquí vemos la maqueta hecha por un compañero de Ron bajo su supervisión. Es la misma que vemos en la foto flotando.
This picture right here was in Life magazine, and it had the caption above it said Noah's Ark with a question mark. And Ron Wyatt saw this and decided to go to Turkey, where this is located, and to check it out. This is what he saw the first time he went over, but he couldn't tell much about it, so he came back to the United States. Now, while he was back in the United States, an earthquake happened, so he said, you know, maybe it damaged the boat, so he wanted to go back over there. Well, when he got there the second time, he couldn't believe his eyes, because what had happened was the earthquake had actually dropped the dirt and soil and debris away from the boat and left it sitting there ready for excavations. So it had actually helped. So at that point, Ron did laser measurement, and it measures out about 515 feet long, or exactly 300 Royal Egyptian cubits. Again, this is another photo of it, and you can just see how the boat is sitting there with the soil dropped away. And then he did some metal detector scans all over the surface of the boat, and everywhere there was a heavy metal reading, he put a cross-section of ribbons. And basically it laid out in the same general structure that you would build a gigantic boat. He did subsurface interface radar scans. I've been trained in 3D subsurface radar, which is a more advanced technology. What he had back then was the best in the time. But basically you can take a box, an antenna, and drag it over the surface of the ground, and you can tell what's underneath the surface for 30 feet or more based on the scans that it gives. With the new technology that I'm trained in, you can set up a grid in X and Y coordinates, run those scans, put it into a computer, and you get a three-dimensional cube. So we would love to go back and do that on this site. We've been working on permission, but we would love to go back and do that, to have everything laid out in 3 dimensions, 3D in a cube. So that maybe in the future we can do that.
You are working for that? You are working to go there and do the 3D dimension?
We are. It's the political situation in Turkey is very bad. They just don't give you the permits, the permission to do that very easily. They make you work for it. And so hopefully we'll get the permission, but it's hard. It's been hard.
Okay. Hasta ahora nos ha comentado que la primera visita que hizo Ron a la zona del Arca fue a partir de una foto satélite. Cuando la primera vez que fue no pudo hacer mucha cosa, se volvió a América y bueno, se enteró que hubo un terremoto allí, y cuando volvió pues sus ojos, bueno, quedó un poco sorprendido al ver que el terremoto partió el Arca por la mitad, longitudinalmente, de manera casi simétrica, y eso ayudó a que pudieran hacer más investigaciones. También nos ha explicado que tienen ganas de volver, que están trabajando para poder volver a la zona del Arca y hacer escáneres tridimensionales para poder hacer una maqueta en 3D del Arca en realidad tal como está enterrada allí.
Ron Wyatt found about 13 giant anchor stones, and the anchor stones had, most of them had 8 predominant Byzantine-style crosses carved into them. And we know there were 8 survivors of the flood, Noah and his family, and we think that the Crusaders may have put these crosses on to represent the 8 survivors of the flood. These are the rivets that connected the timbers together that made the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the pieces of petrified wood that was taken from the boat and analyzed, and it's petrified wood. It has organic carbon, and we have some actual pieces that you've seen just a little bit earlier of the boat here. And then one side of the site was cleaned, and you can see the light material coming down at even intervals, and you can measure in between it. It's that's what's left of Noah's Ark. And then Ron Wyatt showed the site to the Turkish government, and they declared it a national park, and they put it on their maps as Nuhan Gemisi, Noah's great ship. And they built a visitor center at the site. And That's what's left of what they believe to be the remains of Noah's Ark.
Thank you very much, David.
No problem.
Nos ha explicado que, bueno, que encontraron madera petrificada, que como la que hemos visto antes en la muestra que nos han dejado observar, y vemos también pues la parte en las excavaciones, la parte donde se ve el esqueleto de la quilla del barco. Y bueno, por lo demás ya es lo que hemos visto hasta ahora.